What's up, dromies? It's the Juice Man here checking in. Wanted to make a little bit of a different video than I usually make here. A lot of you guys have been hitting me up in the inbox, asking me how to do, certain tricks, or the main thing that keeps coming up is like, how have you been able to kind of continuously progress? Which I appreciate. That lets me know that, hey, I'm doing my thing and I'm growing as a pilot, which is my goal every day. I think the biggest thing is every now and then, a lot of you might not know, I've only been flying FPV about 1.5 years now, or flying drones in general, about 1.5 years into it. And that tends to surprise a lot of people. And the question I always get is like, what helped you progress? What helped you get better? And that's always been a hard question for me to answer. So I had to take some time, sit down and kind of just really try to figure it out. So I was able to come up with 5 tips to help you grow as an FPV pilot. And I hope these help you out. So hope you're ready. Learn how to build drones and how to work on your quads. I cannot express how important that is as an FPV freestyle pilot. Now, if you're cinematic and you're out there, just kind of cruising around, that might not apply to you. But if you want to go out there, rip and full send, you try and do those lumpy flicks and matties and all that good stuff, you need to learn how to build, repair, and work on your quads. That means you need to buy a soldering iron, you need to buy some hex drivers, and you need to be able to take apart your quad and understand what's going on with the quad. Now, what holds a lot of people back that I realize is fear. Where you're afraid of breaking your quad. I mean, which I get. You break your quad, you might not be able to fly for a few days or a few weeks, depending on your situation. But learning how to build and learning how to repair your own quad will boost your confidence, because if you do crash and break anything, guess what? You can repair it. A lot of times when I'm out ripping with the boys, big shout out to the Heathens crew, the Atlanta Heathen guys, Squints, Blackbeard, Jesse, and all, Walkie Talkie FPV. If you haven't seen him, he's bad. But just learning through them is just, learn how to build and repair your quads. Sometimes I'll break an arm in a flight, and in between packs, I'm able to take that arm off, replace the arm, and I'm back out there. And that gives me a lot of confidence to go out there and really send it and really push myself. So I say it's extremely important. And just to give you some backstory, my very first quad was a build. Now, it wasn't intentional. I thought that was your only option to get into FPV. I had no idea about the DJI potato, like they call it, DJI FPV, or all these binding flies. I just found FPV on YouTube, found a Bardwell video. He was building a quad, so I thought, okay, to fly FPV, you got to build a quad. My first build was goofy as heck, but it still flew, and I was hooked then. Just seeing it take off from the ground, I was like, this is what I need to be doing. So tip number 1, learn how to build and repair your own quads. Tip number 2, if you want to fly freestyle, you have to have more than one quad working at that one time. What I mean is, like, don't show up to go out and rip freestyle trying to send it and you only have one quad to fly that day. Because once again, fear will come into play, and you won't send it as hard, because if you crash and break anything, you're out for the day. Nothing makes you more comfortable knowing that if you go out, you send that quad up and it blows up, guess what? You have a backup ready to go. So me, I would say I was a much better builder before I was a pilot, out of necessity, because I didn't do any sim in the beginning. I only recently got a computer that was with a graphics card that can support the sim. So I only recently started using the sim. But in the beginning, I had to learn how to fly FPV the hard way. But what kept me going was the fact that I learned how to build a quad before I learned how to fly a quad. So tip number 2, you want to get into freestyle, you want to rip proxy, you want to do those crazy stunts you see your favorite pilots doing, make sure you have more than one quad. Because having one quad, that fear, that thing in the back of your mind that tells you this is a bad idea, you won't be able to get rid of it. It's going to distract you, and more than likely it's going to affect your ability to fly to your max potential. So tip number 2, get more than one freestyle quad. Number three, and this is a big one, is understanding when you go out to fly, if you want to get better, if your goal is to get better, you want to be a better pilot, you should focused practice sessions. What I mean by that is that before you go out to rip, you have a certain skill set or something in particular, specifically that you want to work on, focus on, and get some reps on. One thing for me that's big, I'm always working on power loops. Now, these aren't videos I typically share, but generally when I go out to fly, especially if I'm ripping by myself, I burn at least one whole pack on just loops. Have it be just power loops, side loops, or Matty flips, but I just focus on trying to build that muscle memory, build my confidence, and just get reps in. And I always compare this to sports. The elite people in sports in their field, wherever it may be. Let's use Kobe for an example. One thing a lot of people mention about Kobe is the fact that after practice, he would hang out still on the basketball court and probably get a couple 100 free throws in. Free throws, something he's been doing since he got into basketball, but he understood that the working on that and maintaining that skill never stops. And and to relate it to sports again, most sports fields, when you're an athlete, when you go out and you're trying to get better at your sport, you're not just playing games back to back. LeBron's not out there just running scrimmages and playing basketball games back to back. Some days he's just running drills. He's working on his three-pointer. He's working on his right hand layup. He's working on his left hand layup. Running drills, getting repetition, building muscle memory, which is key to all of this, because what you want to eliminate from when you're flying so you can to be absolutely free out there and just enjoy it is to eliminate that thinking, just be free and let your muscle memory take over. The only way you can get there is just pick whatever skill you feel like you need to get better at, go out and rip, focus on it, and don't stray from that. Don't get distracted and just freestyle and just say, today I'm working on power loops. Today I want to get the juicy flick down. Today I want to work on flying backwards. Focus on that and stick to it and commit to it and just say, today this is what we're working on. And then the next time you go out, pick another skill set and do the same thing. Rinse and repeat. Once again, number 3, when you go out to rip, focus, practice. Number 4, this is something I would say helped me the most, is get involved, get into the community. One thing I love about FPV is that this is such a warm and welcoming community, and everybody is open to rip with one another and help each other and push each other and boost each other, make you go for something you probably wouldn't go if you were just out there by yourself. Do something cool, like the homie Rusty Green was Rusty Signal. If you don't know him, check out his page. That's my guy, that's my OG. But every time I rip with him, in the back of my mind, all I hear is do something cool, which pushed me to, try to do something cool. But the main thing with that is FPV is kind of a small community, but it's a spread out community. What I mean by that is that there might not be a lot of FPV pilots in your state, depending on where you live, but worldwide we are everywhere. If you're not on Facebook, there's an awesome group, Beginning to FPV. That's where I started. I learned so much in that website just by picking people's brains. Through that is how I started finding other local pilots. So make it a priority. I do enjoy flying by myself, but there is something special about being able to be out there with the boys. We're all in it, loving the same thing and all pushing each other to try to get the best out of each other. So make it a conscious effort. Reach out to other people in your area. I rip, a lot of times I'll drive 2 hours to go to a spot if it's dope enough and if it's some people I can meet up with to rip, because I love this. And what I really love about FPV is the community. Get involved with the community. Super important. Go to events, Roll Ride Rampage, Rumble in the Jungle, which is happening this weekend, the Castle Crash. Anyways, just get on the web, find events, and get involved. Trust me, it'll make your FPV experience just so much sweeter. And number five, now this might sound a little weird. Number 5, crash more.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, you heard me. I'm telling you, take your quad and crash more than you're crashing now. Now, what I mean by that is I'm not saying go out and kamikaze and just, nose down into the concrete and trying to break your quad. My point is go out there, push yourself. You'll never know your limits until you exceed them. In other words, you don't know where your line is until you step over it and fall off. Because from there, after that failure point, you can take it a step back and know this is my limit. And that gives you something clear that you could work on and know, okay, this is a weakness and something I could build on. But crash more means go out there, send it, put fear to the side. Because if you followed my first couple pointers, you have a second quad as a backup. So if it fails on that one, you got something to replace it to get back out there. Because last thing I want you to do is not be able to fly. But you need to be out there and committed. I'll be honest with you, most days I go out to fly, if I'm ripping and I didn't have one crash, I'm always concerned and asking myself, did I really push myself today? Did I get better today? But those days when I'm out there and I'm banging concrete, I had to replace an arm, I smoked a motor, I know at least that day was a day where I got better at flying freestyle because I was pushing myself, I was taking chances, and I was just going for it, putting fear to the side and going for something that might have exceeded my skill level, but at least lets me know where the line is. So with that said, I'll just leave it at those 5. Obviously there's other things that can help you get there. Hopefully this is helpful information for you. And I'll say one bonus, I'm not gonna call it number 6 because I think it trumps everything else, and when you're out there ripping, make sure you're having fun. All this should be having fun. You shouldn't be out there stressed out, worried about when you're flying, you're just stressed out, your heart's pounding. It's just go out there, make sure you're enjoying it. We're all enjoying it. We're all in it together, And to all my subs and followers, once again, I appreciate you guys. I couldn't do none of this stuff without you, literally. So, any questions, anything I could help you out with, I'd love the opportunity to help you out. That feeds my soul. It helps the community. My biggest goal is to help this community grow. I think FPV is awesome. I think it's an experience that we all should have to be able to partake in. It's just, I've jumped out of planes at 14,000 feet in the sky, skydiving, which was dope. I've ridden motorcycles at 180 miles per hour, but FPV gives me the opportunity to where I can still get that adrenaline rush with minimizing the risk I'm putting my physical at, which is a win-win for me, where I can still be so engaged, so just in it. And I say, go out there, rip, send it. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all's packs because your flying is what inspires my flying. When I see you guys out there going for it, taking chances, failing, but then turtle mode, get that quad back in the air and sending it again, that's what inspires me and lets me know why this community is so dope, why what we do is so much fun, and why it's so important for all of us to stay connected and understand that we're in this grind together, that we love this together. We're all drone nuts. We all go to bed sleeping thinking about bills. Well, anyways, I'll cut this here. I might have ran a little longer than I wanted to, but hopefully you got a good takeaway from this. As always, love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Go out there full send because that's the only option. Take care.